We all know that tourism is not, it's very resource intensive, right? It harms the environment. There's no doubt about that. People fly around and produce greenhouse gases, and they use 3 towels a day, and they waste food when they go to a breakfast buffet. So we know that the tourism industry has negative environmental impacts. And although there is a lot of work done, really some of the things we would have to say to tourists are very hard to implement. So it's very hard to say to someone, your flight is the worst, most damaging part of your travel. So how about you just go to the village 100 kilometers down the road and take the train? Well, it's likely that uptake of that recommendation will be low. So we did a few studies, and we pretty much found that tourists do not naturally behave environmentally friendly. Even tourists who are, let's say, activists for environmental organizations, we interviewed them, and they don't. They go on holiday. They are super active in their environmental space at home. But when they go on holiday, it's their time off. And that also implies that they kind of relax their high standards. In brief, what we're trying to do when we're attempting to change tourist behavior to be more environmentally friendly is to find ways where we are not preaching to them, but where we are putting in place a little modification of the way things operate that trigger pro-environmental behavior in tourists without affecting negatively the enjoyment they have during their vacation. We could first start with environmental appeals. And that's not uncommon. Every hotel has little signs, and it'll tell you, we are an environmentally friendly hotel, we don't want to waste towels, please help us do this, do that. Yeah? And we developed what we thought were very fine little stickers, which we put not only in one place, but for example, for electricity, we put it in every single place, so that every time someone went to a light switch, they were reminded to think twice or to switch it off. Right? What was the result? Nothing. That it's actually even worse, that even appealing at people's biospheric beliefs, if you want, so appealing at their consciousness in terms of pro-environmental behavior in the context of tourism just didn't work. We might need to change something in the way we operate things so that we can improve that. And so we've done 2 studies. One I find quite interesting is about cleaning hotel rooms. So instead of now measuring electricity and water and everything independently, we said, well, the biggest saving is not to clean the whole room, yeah? Because it's 35 liters of water, it's 1.5 kilowatt hours of electricity every time a room is cleaned, and 100 milliliters of chemicals, because, you know, bathrooms scrubbed, I'm not sure exactly how things go. But in the hotel where we did the study, that sign was used by 2.5% of people. So it's practically nobody. Right? So yes, the option exists, but nobody does it. Now in our study, we achieved 42%, which we were really thrilled about. So 42% of rooms which would have usually been cleaned on a normal roster were not cleaned because guests opted out, because guests said no thank you. So we leveraged that, and we combined that with a theory called equity theory, which says that humans have a wish to balance give and take. And we communicated to the guests, yes, you're right. If we don't clean your room, we save money. How about we go halves? The hotel will pocket half of the savings, and half of the savings we will give back to you. And we'll give that back in form of a voucher, which you can use at dinner to get yourself a drink. All right? For every time you waive the hotel clean. And this worked absolutely beautifully. People loved it. There was a big black market for vouchers and a reduction of 42%. Interestingly, on a theoretical level, is we actually had 4 conditions. We know it's 2.5% when we do nothing. We know it's 42% when we offer the equity theory based, let's share the savings model. But what we also did is in between we had one where we just appealed at their environmental consciousness, right? So no equity, no savings, just appealing at the consciousness. And then we had a 4th condition where on top of our equity, we added the environmental appeal. And what happened? Absolutely nothing. So the difference between what usually happens and the biospheric appeal did nothing, and also the biospheric appeal added on top of our equity condition did nothing. So that further supports our theoretical hypothesis that the current theory explaining why people behave in environmentally friendly ways, which is typically relating to the home context, yeah, does not seem to generalize at all to the tourism context, almost crying for a new theory to be developed that applies to the context and that allows us then to develop measures where we can trick tourists without sacrifice of their enjoyment, right, to reduce the negative impact of their vacation on the environment.